The Legacy of Kain series has a rich history in the video game industry, with the standout title of course being 1999's Soul Reaver on the PlayStation 1. It's unfortunate that this game still remains the pinnacle for the series. However, the Legacy of Kain Dead Son had all the ingredients to be a current hit video game, but of course it wasn't to be. So with that said, here is the story of the Legacy of Kain Dead Son. Development on the Legacy of Kain Dead Son started in 2009, 6 years after the release of the previous Legacy of Kain game called Defiance. Now, in all fairness, Defiance for the most part received positive reviews, in particular for its story, which was fronted by Amy Hennig, now of Uncharted fame. Unfortunately, the positive reviews didn't result in good sales figures, meaning Square Enix made the decision to put the game series on the back burner. Now, endless online campaigns and petitions forced the hand of Square Enix, who eventually crumbled and announced that in 2009 work had begun on a sequel to Defiance, and it was fronted by the unknown development studio Climax Games. Climax Games set to work immediately. Now, the plan was to create a game on the current generation, PS3 and 360 of course, with the possibility of it being published on the yet unannounced next generation, which of course would have been the PS4 and Xbox One. Now, the Unreal Engine 3 was to be used. 20 hours of gameplay was planned in a dark, gritty Zelda-style adventure game with a combat system similar to Batman Arkham Asylum and platforming and puzzles in keeping with the original games. Now, Square Enix insisted on this being a reboot set apart from the previous games. They didn't want this to be a fan service. They wanted a fresh, new, exciting series. They also insisted that the game must have a multiplayer component, and at this time Climax made the decision to codename this game Black Cloth. Now, it all sounds fantastic, but in 2011 plans were completely changed. The game was officially granted AAA status, which is of course a really good thing, and it was intended to be a launch title for the next generation, aka the PS4 and the Xbox One. Even with the next generation news, the game never saw the light of day. Or maybe it did, hence it dying, haha, vampire jokes. Anyway, depending on who you believe, the game was cancelled for one of two reasons. Number one, the game was just simply not good enough. Now, in recent interviews, many of the development team recalled being frustrated as representatives from Square Enix would test current builds of the game and send back 80-page plus Word documents criticising the build. Now, many of the team behind the game believe that Square Enix never truly knew what they wanted the game to be, and felt as though Square just wanted something cool, but never really offered a true sense of direction to aid the developers. High-up directors also commented on the poor sales performance of similar games that were released at that time. Most notably, Castlevania Lords of Shadows and Darksiders, both of which reviewed really well but were let down by poor sales figures. Clearly, the genre of game was not what the mass market wanted at that time. Furthermore, Ubisoft blew open the gaming industry with the release of Assassin's Creed, an open world adventure game similar to what the intentions for Dead Son were. Now, of course, Assassin's Creed was worked on by hundreds of members of staff, something Climax couldn't even begin to replicate. The expectations of the game were too big for Climax to produce. The truth of the matter is, the expectations of the game far outweighed what was possible with the available resources. Excuse the pun, but these unrealistic expectations by Square Enix formed the stake that ended the legacy of Kain. Reason number 2 for the cancellation is just money. Simple as that. Dead Sun had already cost Square Enix close to $7 million, with another estimated $23 million forecast as a cost to complete the game, get it to market and provide adequate advertising. It just so happens at that exact time Square Enix had one of their worst performing financial years ever, meaning they couldn't possibly make such a large investment into a game that wasn't a guaranteed hit. At that time, the legacy of Kain Dead Sun was just an impossible gamble. Bill Beecham, design director at Square Enix London Studio, said the following regarding the development cycle of Dead Sun. Unfortunately, in this case, it wasn't meeting our expectations. It was a very difficult decision to take. Closing down any project is never easy, especially one where there was a lot of passion for and belief in it. But ultimately, it wasn't going to give us the game we were originally looking for. We had to stop the project. It wasn't the right game at the right time. The public is less concerned about the genre. They care, is it a fun game? Do my friends like it? Is everyone talking about it? Ultimately, you just need a good game. And I think ultimately, that was what we were seeing that we weren't going to be getting. Now, the game was officially cancelled in May 2012, however, the multiplayer component was released as a separate free-to-play experience called Nosgoth. Now, it's brought to you by the now famous Rocket League developers Sonic, which is a huge surprise, who insisted that Nosgoth was a standalone game, not a multiplayer component fleshed out. It was described as a MOBA. The game was scheduled to leave early access in April 2016, however, it was also cancelled in March 2016 due to not capturing the imagination of players. In short, nobody played it, and was yet more evidence that perhaps Square Enix made the right decision by cancelling Dead Sun. The legacy of Kain Dead Sun is like all cancelled games. We all sit and dream, of course, of what could have been. Time is moving on, and unfortunately for the few remaining legacy of Kain fans, which I include myself in, the game series seems to be a relic of gaming generations gone by. Of course, I would love to see a reboot for the series, but in truth, it's just never going to happen, people. The days and age of Legacy of Kain are long gone. Now, one thing is for sure, Soul Reaver will forever remain as one of the outstanding titles of a gaming generation. Now, that is something that can never be taken away. So with the gaming market as it is today, maybe we don't need a new Legacy of Kain game. Maybe it's time to remaster Soul Reaver. And let's be honest, Square Enix, if you're looking to print money, as you've seen with other remasters, here's looking at you, Crash Bandicoot, then a remaster of Soul Reaver would go down pretty well. Square Enix, if you're watching this, do you like money? Simple as that. Anyway, that was the unfortunate tale of the Legacy of Kain Dead Sun, the reboot that never was. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then please hit that thumbs up button, and of course, be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new, and if you accidentally stumbled across this video, you may as well subscribe as well. I really appreciate all the support. Thank you so much for watching. I love making these sort of in-depth looks at cancelled games and history of video games. I really enjoy making them. I hope you do too. Apart from that, enjoy your week, enjoy your gaming. I'm Waterfields1. See you later.